Hello, I'm George Salez, chairperson of NLT's Virtual Readers Theater. Thanks for tuning in. We're glad you could make it. Can you believe a whole year of the pandemic is behind us? It forced us to stretch and adapt in ways we didn't think we had in us. Not unlike the characters you're about to meet. I had the pleasure of directing this piece, which is set at the start of the pandemic and offers us a wry comic look at a very unfunny time. It also speaks to the human connection and the differences between hearing and listening. And no, they are not the same thing. Similar, but not the same. As we draw near the end of our virtual season, we humbly ask that if you can, to please make a donation of whatever amount you can. We gratefully accept via Venmo, PayPal, or you can even go old school and send us a check. We're not picky. For now, please sit back and enjoy Andy Reynolds, Dr. Smarty in the New Normal. Thanks.
What this stupid thing? Goddamn this stupid thing!
Richardson,
I can never make this goddamn stupid thing do what I want.
Mr. Richardson,
Where am I?
Mr.
Where the
Richardson,
hell is my face?
Mr. Richardson,
I can see yours. Where the hell is mine?
Mr. Richardson, please calm down and listen to me.
What? Go on. I don't have all day.
Do you see the little video icon in the lower corner?
The what?
There should be a picture of a little video camera in the lower left corner
The lower left corner of what?
of the window, the Zoom window or whatever.
I don't see a goddamn. No, wait. I see it.
Is there a red line going through it?
A what?
Do you see a red line, like a slash going through it?
Yes, there's a red line. So what?
That means your camera is off. You have to click it.
After what?
Click it, with your mouse or your trackpad or whatever.
With my what? Oh, you mean I have to click? Uh,
There you are.
what?
I can see you now.
Jesus, is that what I look like?
You look great.
I'm like a crazy person. Look at my hair.
Your hair looks great.
I'm so pale.
It's the lighting. You can adjust it.
I look like death.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you never laid eyes on me before in your life. I'm telling you, I look like death warmed over. Slightly.
Well, you look great to me.
Yeah, well, what do you know?
Oh, shall we begin?
If we must.
Let's see. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Seems like you already started.
Right. So when were you diagnosed?
A week ago? I don't know. The days all blur together. Last Thursday.
And what led you to seek medical attention?
What led me? I was thirsty, for Christ's sake. Unbelievably thirsty. That's what led me to seek goddamn medical attention.
And was that your main symptom? You were thirsty?
Not just thirsty, parched. I had to guzzle a gallon of water every 5 minutes and then piss it out every 10.
I see.
All night, too. 8, 9 times I was up, having to piss like a racehorse. And I was tired, exhausted all the time, and irritable, grouchy.
More than usual?
Is that some kind of a crack?
No, it was just a question.
Well, I'm not going to answer it.
Okay, so what did you do? I mean, about your symptoms.
I called my goddamn doctor. That's what I did.
Dr. Volker?
What?
Dr. Volker, your primary care physician, it says here.
Why are you asking if you already know?
Right, so what did Dr. Volker suggest you do?
She told me to go to the goddamn hospital.
Not high on your list of places to go, I imagine. I mean, with everything that's going on, I can understand your reluctance.
I wasn't reluctant. I wanted to know what the hell was wrong with me.
Well, I would have been reluctant. An emergency room is the last place I want to be. So, what did they tell you at the hospital?
That I have type 2 diabetes, for Christ's sake. Shouldn't you know all this?
Right, I do. I was just,
And can we get on with it?
Yeah, so how have you been feeling since?
Awful.
Still experiencing excessive thirst
Yes,
and urination
yes.
at the same level?
No, but that doesn't mean it's gone.
Well, what medications do they prescribe?
I don't remember the. Wait a minute. Metformin.
How many milligrams?
I don't know. Wait a minute. 500.
Anything else?
10 units of Levemir and 100 milligrams of Januvia. These names are ridiculous.
And the Levemir is by injection. You're administering that yourself?
No, I have a goddamn butler who does it for me. What do you think?
And you're testing your blood glucose regularly?
Yes, I'm testing my
What was
goddamn.
your last result?
I don't. 325.
Not so bad.
Seems bad to me.
You should see some of my other patients. So the reason we're here today is that Dr. Volker thought that I might be able to offer some advice to help you eat healthier and get your blood sugars more stable. So I'm going to show you something. Hang on just 1 second.
What's happening?
I'm sharing my screen with you. There we go.
What the hell am I looking at?
That's Dr. Smarty.
Where the hell is Dr. Smarty?
He's going to help us learn about your condition.
What the hell? You think I'm a child or a moron?
No, it was just meant to be fun.
Well, it isn't.
Okay, sorry.
Just get on with it already.
Maybe we'll skip the intro. Here we are.
Oh, for Christ's sake. What is that?
That's Diet Dog.
What?
Diet Dog. He teaches people how to eat healthier.
You've got to be kidding. Dogs don't use forks.
Dogs don't know the difference between carbohydrates and proteins either. It's just a tool. Give it a chance, Mr. Richardson.
Fine.
Okay, then. Let's begin with the basics.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Who's doing your supermarket shopping these days?
I am.
That's not good, Mr. Richardson. I told you last time you're in 2 of the high-risk groups now. You need to be more careful. Couldn't one of your children go for you, or a grandchild?
No,
A neighbor, or...
there's no one.
Okay, then after we're finished, I'll send you a list of places that can help. What does it say?
I don't know. This stupid thing is 234 mg/dl. Whatever that means.
Amazing!
What?
Only a week since our first session and you're well on your way. Good for you. I'm serious, Mr. Richardson. You're doing great. In no time at all, you'll be teaching me how to count carbs.
Not likely.
Okay, so today I thought we'd talk about exercise.
What about it?
Do you get much exercise?
Some.
Good, good. What do you like to do? Let me guess. Golfing. Biking? Yoga.
God, no. I walk. Or I used to anyway.
Perfect. For how long?
Depends. A mile maybe, sometimes more.
Every day?
Not lately.
Well, we should get you back on a daily schedule. Walking is one of the best. What? Now? Seriously, what is it?
What is what?
You obviously have some very important reason for coming in here, even though you know I'm in a session.
Are you talking to me?
No, not you, Mr. Richardson. Can you hang on just 1 second? Seriously, you came in here to ask about your pudding? I didn't eat your stupid pudding. I don't even like pudding.
What? Did you just say pudding?
Mr. Richardson. I thought I was on mute. Can you hang on just 1 second? I'll be.
Sure.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Still adjusting to working from home. Tight quarters around here. You know how it is. So, where were we? Mr. Richardson, are you eating something? What is that you're eating?
Nothing.
Is that chocolate? Are you eating a Snickers bar?
No.
Mr. Richardson, what did I tell you? You can't eat Snickers bars anymore.
You can't tell me what I can and can't do.
Actually, that's what I'm being paid to do.
I'm an adult.
Then act like one. Start taking this seriously. Don't you want to be healthy, to be in control, to live?
I've lived plenty. I'm 82 years old, for Christ's sake. I mean, what do I have to look forward to? My body falling apart, piece by piece? First it was my hearing, then my knees, now my pancreas. I'm a walking ache and pain. So sue me if I want to eat a goddamn Snickers bar.
I don't get it, Mr. Richardson. How am I supposed to help you if you won't even help yourself? I'm here 100% for you, and it's not easy, keeping up with work under these circumstances, dealing with patients through a machine instead of face-to-face, managing everybody's expectations. I am doing the best I can, and all that I ask is that somebody think about how this might be affecting me for once, instead of obsessing over whether I've eaten all the fucking pudding or not!
Are you talking to me now? Or someone else? Your husband? Boyfriend?
Girlfriend,
Oh,
is that a problem for you?
what? No,
Because if it is,
it's not a problem.
okay then. Shall we continue?
Yes, sure.
What were we talking about? Exercise. It's important to get at least 30 minutes of exercise every day. There's a slide somewhere.
Does it involve a calisthenics cat or a kickboxing kangaroo or something?
Not this time.
Thank God. So, did you
Did I what?
eat her pudding?
This week I talk about portion control.
Right.
What do you suppose these are?
A hockey puck and a baseball. My eyesight may be going, but I'm not blind yet.
Right, but I mean, they also,
So you're a sports fan?
not really.
Oh,
Not all lesbians like sports.
I know that.
These are Olivia's, my girlfriend. I use her hockey puck and baseball to give an idea of appropriate serving sizes. One fruit or vegetable serving is about the size of a baseball, and one carbohydrate serving is about the size of a hockey puck. See?
How are things going? With Olivia, I mean.
Changing the subject, Mr. Richardson.
Hell yes. And can you please call me Henry? Mr. Richardson makes me feel old.
Okay, Henry.
Have there been any more pudding skirmishes?
No, in fact, no food-related skirmishes of any kind.
So you're getting along.
I wouldn't say that. There were cuts at her job and she's been furloughed, so that's stressful. And I guess we're not used to spending this much time together in the same space. We get on each other's nerves.
How long have you two been together?
Oh, geez. Almost 3 years.
Newlyweds.
It feels like a lifetime.
Talk to me when it's 30.
We'll kill each other before then. Sometimes I think I'm not meant to be in a relationship. I tried your suggestion, by the way. Every time she says something annoying, I count to 10 before I respond.
And?
I never realized how many annoying things she says. I must have counted to 10 at least 100 times yesterday. I thought she might strangle me.
It always used to work for me.
Well, I appreciate your trying to help. It was nice. Now, one protein serving is about the size of a deck of cards. I couldn't find a deck of cards, so we'll just use the hockey puck again. How many calories would you say are in a piece of chicken the size of this puck? Henry.
Are all those yours?
All what mine?
Those books.
Changing the subject again, Mr. Richardson.
I told you it's Henry. So every time we meet, I try to read the titles. You can tell a lot about a person from their books.
What do my books say about me?
That you're a bore.
What? I am not.
They all look like books about nutrition.
That's because they are all books about nutrition.
That the only thing you read?
I think they make a nice backdrop. They make me seem more professional, don't you think?
They make you seem like a bore. Don't you ever read anything worthwhile?
These are worthwhile.
I mean literature.
I'm pretty busy, not much time for pleasure reading.
You should make time. Nothing like a really good novel. Hey, have you ever read Henry James? You'd like him. He's a great writer, and he was gay too. Portrait of a Lady is my favorite.
You like Portrait of a Lady?
Is that so hard to believe?
No, I'll give it a try.
Will you?
Yes.
Will you?
I'll order it from Amazon today.
Promise?
I promise.
Good.
Now, shall we talk about fiber?
If we must.
Wait until you see how simple math and a high fiber diet can change your life.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care.
Come on, Henry, just give it some thought. What would you order? Remember, there are no wrong answers.
The fried chicken.
Wrong?
You just said there was no wrong answer.
I lied. Fried chicken is the worst thing. All that breading and oil wreaks havoc on blood sugars, diabetes or not. If you don't know what to order, restaurants can be a minefield.
You make it sound like a goddamn war. Anyway, you asked what I would order, not what I should order.
Okay, what should you order?
The grilled salmon and vegetables, obviously.
Right.
Except I hate salmon.
What's wrong with salmon? It's delicious.
If you're a goddamn cat.
Life should be a compromise, not a punishment.
Grilled salmon is a punishment.
It's a healthier choice.
It's cat food. If I'm at a restaurant, I want to enjoy myself.
You have to find ways of enjoying yourself that won't kill you.
I'd rather die happy full of fried chicken.
You need to adjust to your new circumstances so you don't end up in a coma. Now, here's a familiar friend to offer a few tips.
Oh, God, no.
What?
Not Diet Dog.
Come on, I know you love Diet Dog.
Diet Dog is a drip. Look at his face. I even like Dr. Smarty better. At least he's not a moron.
Dr. Smarty isn't in this section. It's Diet Dog or nothing.
I'll take nothing.
I think the visuals help.
They don't. Did you start
What?
the book?
Oh, yeah,
And
it's great.
Sonia, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. What did you really think?
It's not exactly an easy read. There are some seriously long sentences that go on for pages. Sometimes I lose the thread and I have to reread whole sections all over again just to know what the heck he's even trying to say.
But it's beautiful, don't you think?
Yeah, sure, I suppose.
Keep at it. You'll be glad you did.
Okay. Want to guess what Diet Dog picked from the menu?
Not really.
Spinach salad with grilled chicken. See, Diet Dog makes smart decisions that add value to his life.
This is stupid. It's not like I'm going out to a restaurant anytime soon.
But you will. Things are open again. And I imagine you'll be quite in demand, eligible bachelor that you are. I mean it, Henry. You're a good-looking guy. I'm sure you know lots of nice, attractive ladies who would jump at the chance to go out to a restaurant with you.
What makes you think I'm interested in nice, attractive ladies?
Oh, I just thought, well, you've been single now for a while, right? Since your wife died. What was her name? I don't think you ever told me.
Gary.
I'm sorry.
My husband's name was Gary.
That's what I thought you said. Oh, geez, I am so sorry. Sometimes I could be so thick. I didn't know. I just assumed.
You know the saying, when you assume.
I know. You could have said something.
You didn't ask.
How long has it been since he...
8 months.
And how long were you two married?
Married 6 years, but together for 41.
Wow. I wish I knew your secret.
Shouldn't we be getting back to Diet Dog?
Diet Dog can wait. I mean, after all, he's kind of a drip. How did you and Gary, how did you two meet? She wants to go out more than I do. Our neighbors keep asking us over for a socially distant barbecue on their deck, and I'm just not ready for that. Maybe it's because I'm in the medical field.
You're a nutritionist, not an ER doctor. Sorry, go on.
I don't know anymore what's normal and what's not. I just wish she understood.
Well, people have different ways of handling things.
I wish she handled things the way I handle things.
Maybe it's not a bad thing that you have different outlooks. Maybe you balance each other out.
I think part of it is that she's depressed. Not that I'm not depressed, but at least I still have this. I mean, if only she had her work. I don't know. Is it always supposed to be this hard? Sometimes I think I'm meant to be single. It's not so bad being alone, is it? You don't have to answer to anyone else. You're only responsible for yourself and your own happiness.
The only bad part of being alone is that it gets kind of lonely.
Look at that. We've spent more time talking about me than we have about you. So, how are you? How are your sugars?
I haven't had anything over 130 all week.
Fantastic. I told you cutting out Snickers bars would help. Or have you been exercising more?
I've been packing.
Packing?
I'm moving.
Oh, well, you didn't say. That's exciting.
No, it isn't. I'm moving to a retirement community, for Christ's sake. I always used to say I'd never be caught dead in one of those goddamn places. But I can't manage anymore. Since Gary, the upkeep on this place is too much.
Well, as Dr. Smarty says, it sounds like a smart decision that will add value.
I was supposed to be there already by now. But all this started and everything was put on hold. Now the movers are set for next week and I need to be ready. The new apartment is tiny. So I'm, what do you call it?
Downsizing?
Right. Going through 41 years of crap is a workout.
Do you need help or?
No, I'm fine.
Because I'd be happy to help.
I'm fine, Sonia. How's the book coming?
Oh, wow. It's gotten really good. Isabel's in Italy right now and she's with that horrible guy. I don't know how she could make such a mistake. It's like watching a really good friend make a series of terrible life decisions and being powerless to stop her. I can't wait to see what happens.
I knew you'd like it.
Can I ask you a question about the painting behind you?
What about it?
I don't know. I just couldn't help but notice it. And where'd you get it?
I painted it.
You did?
Is that so hard to believe? We used to spend 2 weeks every summer at the beach. One time, Gary signed me up for a landscape class with some art center out there. You know, he used to say I was too much of a hermit, always with my head in a book. He'd say, "You need to get out more, Henry. Be more social, meet people." But I had no interest in people. I never did. Give me a good book over goddamn people any day. But he insisted, so I went. That's how it was with Gary.
It's good.
It's terrible. But he had it framed and hung on the wall anyway, to prove a point, I guess.
It was nice of him.
Yeah, he was always nice, nicer than me. That's what people used to say anyway. Gary's so nice. Why is he with that sourpuss?
They just didn't understand. You balanced each other out. Click the little green box that says share at the bottom.
The what? Where?
There's a little green box right at the bottom in the middle.
Jesus, this thing.
Don't blow a gasket, Henry. Take your time.
God damn this thing.
There. Good job.
All right.
That's him.
Yeah, that's Gary.
Good looking guy.
And I just found this a few weeks ago, along with thousands of other pictures, all neatly labeled. Near the end, he was always on this computer organizing our old photos. It's funny, there were so many of food. And I used to find all kinds of the richest and most decadent recipes to make all sorts of fancy meals. We sure could eat. But I never realized how many of our good times centered around food. No wonder I got diabetes.
People trying to eat their way to happiness is what keeps me in business. When was this taken?
Right after we met.
He looks content.
He was, I think. Geez, those first years together were just unbelievably perfect. Like a honeymoon. We just always had such a good time,
Yeah.
Then a bunch of people we knew, guys our age and younger even, started dropping dead.
That must have been awful.
Well, everyone was in a panic. There was so much misinformation about how you got it, how it was spread. It was years before they really knew. People were desperate. They wanted answers, a cure. If someone would read some obscure medical journal saying drinking urine helped, and the next thing you know, everyone was slugging down their own piss. And the government was no help. Who cared if a bunch of homosexuals died from a mysterious infectious disease? Not Ronald Reagan, that's for sure.
Some things don't change.
We were all so terrified and angry and watching things unfold. I didn't want to leave the house. Gary was a doer. He said, we have to do something. So he found some other people who were just as frightened and pissed off as we were. And we went to meetings and protests. We did things I never would have done alone. We chained ourselves to the doors of the CDC, for Christ's sake. And it made a difference. The treatments we have today wouldn't have existed otherwise. I wonder what Gary would be doing if he was still alive. Part of me is glad he doesn't have to live through it. But the other part of me, anyway, that's Gary.
You were together a long time.
A goddamn lifetime. How do I go back?
What?
How do I go back? Make our faces big again.
Oh, you have to click the little red box that says stop share.
A little red. God damn this thing.
Did you two ever not get along?
Oh, hell yes. Gary may have been nice to other people, but at home, he was just as stubborn and pig-headed and grouchy as me.
What did you two fight about?
Anything. Whose turn it was to pay the bills. Hey, he wore my new shirt before I did. I put the paper towel roll back the wrong way. Basically, it came down to two things. One, you're not listening to me. And two, you're not hearing me.
Those are the same, aren't they?
Similar, not the same. Things could get heated between me and Gary, especially if other things were stressful, work and family. When my mother was dying, for instance, that was hell. But we found ways to work it out.
How?
We'd take long walks and talk over whatever we were fighting about. Sometimes we'd walk every day, miles and miles and miles. But by the time we got back home, we were ready to move on to the more important things, like dinner. So that was the good thing about us. We never fought for long. We never went to bed angry. And we never ran out of things to talk about.
Olivia and I barely said 2 words to each other all week.
I used to crave peace and quiet. Now I can't stand it. Months go by and I don't hear another voice.
What am I, chopped liver?
I don't know. Does Diet Dog approve of chopped liver?
Okay then, ready for the grand finale?
Not really.
Ta-da! I could hardly end things without an appearance from our friends.
If I ever see those 2 idiots again, it'll be too soon.
Luckily, you won't have to, unless you want to sign up for another session.
I don't think my insurance would pay for more than 7.
Actually, your insurance only pays for 4. I checked, but don't worry, I haven't billed for our last few meetings.
That's not right. Especially now, you should be paid.
I should be paying you.
For what?
Anyway, you have all the information and tools you need. Moving forward, it'll be up to you to make smart decisions. But whenever you're not sure, just ask yourself, what would Dr. Smarty do?
And then I'll do the opposite.
The bad news is that it doesn't ever really get any easier. Type 2 diabetes can be very unpredictable no matter how disciplined you are. There will be good days and bad, highs and lows.
You mean like life? How are you doing?
I'm good. Really. It was the right decision. We both knew it wasn't working long before all this started. This just kind of intensified everything that was wrong and sped things up. But we were going to end up in exactly the same place, no matter what. Olivia she just wasn't my Gary. I need to find that for myself. Maybe I'll be lucky like you, find the perfect match.
No one's perfect.
Perfect for me, I mean.
Just be careful. Yeah, I built my entire life around Gary. It was the 2 of us against the world. And now he's gone. What else is there for me?
Plenty. You're starting a new life. Who knows what you'll find when you're settled? New things to do, new people to meet.
People? I don't know if you picked up on this, but I'm not one for making friends. I haven't made a friend in, Jesus, 20 years.
Henry, you have to face it. Whether you like it or not, we're friends now. I was thinking we should meet up the same time next week. Insurance be damned. What do you say?
I'll see if I can pencil you in. By the way, I sent you something, a gift.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
It's nothing really, just a little thank you for helping me with, through everything.
Well, that was nice of you. Oh, I almost forgot. I finished it. Portrait of a Lady. You were right. It's amazing.
What did you like best?
I like that at the very end of the story, you feel like you've only reached the beginning. You know?
Exactly.
Mrs. Cohen, I can't hear you. You must be muted. Mrs. Cohen, you just have to calm down and click the little audio icon in the lower left corner. There's no use in getting upset, Mrs. Cohen. Everyone has trouble at first. That's why you have me to help. We'll have you up and running in no time. And then you'll see everything will be all right. I promise you, everything is going to be just fine.
Hey.
Hey. Oops, sorry. That was fantastic. It was really fun to watch. I had a very good time watching it.
Good. Thanks for writing an amazing script.
It was.
Forgot to unmute myself. Sorry. I'm like, from the stream, that is. So I'm not sure if Jim is actually going to be joining us. I never heard back from him, so I don't know. But we'll carry on because I don't want to keep the audience too much later. So audience, as we're gonna spend like maybe the next 10 minutes or so just fielding any questions you have for either Gina, Andy, or myself regarding Dr. Smarty and the new normal. Why don't we kick it off though? Andy, why don't you tell them what you told me when I asked what inspired you to write the piece? And
Sure. The piece started, I think the first idea I got was during the pandemic. I belong to a writers group in my town, and right after the pandemic hit and lockdown happened, everything switched to Zoom. Everything all my work and meetings and everything. And it was ridiculous how every meeting started in kind of like a chaotic way with people not sure how to turn on their cameras and how Zoom worked. And it just seemed really like right for comedy for me. So that's where the idea started. And then I started trying to think of different ways where people who didn't know each other could meet in a pandemic. And I'm type 1 diabetic myself, and I remember a lot of the diabetes education that I had when I was first diagnosed, and how ridiculous that was with cartoons and things that were also very funny to me. So I thought combining those two ideas into this play would be a way to make things funny and also talk about things that were happening right now with the pandemic. So that's what kind of inspired it.
okay. And again, those of you who are watching, my name is George Salas. I directed the piece. The gentleman who was just speaking was Andy Reynolds, who wrote Dr. Smarty and the New Normal. And of course, Gina Sarno played Sonia. And joining us is Jim Clancy as Homer. So again, we're just going to take, maybe 5 or 10 minutes here. And if you guys have any questions for any of us, type it into the comments. And you guys, as when I see a good question or whatever, I will simply highlight it. I'm going to highlight a comment, not a question, so you'll see what I'm talking about. So, here's a good one. So this will flash up on the screen. It's just a statement. This was fantastic. Great scripting, great acting and directing. Love it.
That's very nice. I agree with the great acting and great directing. I'm not going to take credit for anything, but you guys were fantastic. It was really a joy to watch. Yes. And George did a fantastic job with directing. I couldn't have been more pleased. It was really fun.
Oh, cool. Thank you. We have a question from Lynn Davidson. She says, it must be difficult to act when you're facing a camera and you're not really looking at each other, correct? What's your prep for that? Gina, why don't you start? I know how much you hate answering questions on camera.
It was very
I'll leave
difficult.
the question up so you can...
It was very challenging because you're right. You are used to like seeing people in person, and even previous Zoom performances I had done, I was looking at the screen to see the people's faces. But we had a conversation about like, no, you should look into the camera so that it looks like you're looking right at the person. So after you work with that, you get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I took back. God, it feels like an eternity ago. I took a Zoom class. It was on Zoom about directing for the online medium of like things like Zoom, and the instructor spoke about that, about like, instead of looking at the camera, you can see where my eyes, I'm looking literally at myself right now, and I'm looking at where Jim is on, as opposed to when I look directly into my camera, it looks more like, you're addressing the person as opposed to, that kind of a thing. It does make a difference. Jim, did you want to chime in on that?
Me?
Yes. Did you have anything to add to that?
This format, this virtual thing, this Zoom thing, is completely different than on stage. It's very challenging, looking into the camera rather than looking at the person you're working with. You can't read their movements. You can't read their eyes. You can't feel them. It's really different. But you got to get used to looking at the camera. I was really interested to watch this tonight because when we do this, I'm looking at the camera. I'm not looking at Gina.
Mhm.
I'm not looking at the stuff that the Dr. Smarty posts. I'm just focused on the camera. It's very difficult, and I would consider it a completely unique technique, which we as actors have to kind of grow into. Now, fortunately, I feel like we both did, and but it's tough.
Yeah.
The way it played, you never know that you're not able to see each other. Like it really played really well that you could see each other. It seemed like you were looking at each other. So I'm impressed that you weren't, that you couldn't see the other one's reactions, because your reactions back seemed very real and like it was happening, at the same time. So that was
thank you for saying that, because this is really a whole different game. Fortunately, I think we both did pretty well.
Very well, very well.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is for the actors again. Lisa Barnett asks, is it hard to do comedy on screen when you can't hear any laughter?
Yes.
You want to take that one, Gina?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is hard. It definitely is hard. There were times that we were laughing at each other, but you can't do that during a performance. So it definitely is. It is hard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, I'm sure, when you're performing, you feed off an audience's reaction. Like if they start laughing, it kind of gives you more oomph. So I think not being able to hear an audience reaction must be very different than a live theater presentation.
Totally.
If I may, there is two things about live theater that are more important than anything else. You do your work, you do your prep, you do your character, blah, blah, blah. There are two things. One is the interaction with the people you're doing this with is incredibly important. And fortunately, Gina and I got along great, and George, we all got along great. The other thing is the audience reaction. When you do this, the whole point of doing this is to prepare something and give it away. Give it to the audience and feed off their energy. It's really a huge part of live theater. So this was really challenging to do this to a little camera on my office.
What is this thing? How do I turn it on?
Exactly.
You are, Henry.
Yeah. So the deal is, it's hugely different. And yet, if we're both experienced actors, we understand this, and hopefully we brought enough to it. But I will tell you that I personally, I find this an odd format because you don't get the immediacy and the power of audience reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, chat just doesn't quite match
Yeah.
a real reaction.
Yeah.
all my scenes were filmed actually at Nutley Little Theater, and I was playing to the camera, but the audience was there. There was no people in the seats. It was strange. It was very strange.
I'm sure. A theater full of seats with no people.
Yeah. I felt kind of crazy.
That's bizarre.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Next question. Well, it's not the next one in order, but I want to ask this one because I have reasons for asking this one. Next one, it's specifically for Gina.
Oh,
Where
great.
did you get with those crazy pants for the second scene? Explain, or you want me to explain?
There's a lot of conversation about those, by the way.
That's yeah. I got a couple laughs out of that.
How about I set it up and then you can explain where you got the pants, because that's really, but the reason she wore those pants is we were joking in rehearsal, semi joking, about, you know, how, and we've all probably, you know, if you're on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen the memes where the Zoom memes where people are like, you know, it's all business up top, but then, like, you know, they stand up and like they're wearing no pants. And we thought about that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that might be pushing it just a little too far. And I was like, do you have any like crazy pajama pants?
Yes. So I wore them, and they are from my cousin Diana, who asked this question. So thank you for those pajama pants.
But we were just, you know, it was a moment that I saw that where we could lean a little even further into the Zoom experience, because, like, you know, it's something that we're all, you know, you're familiar with it if you do Zoom at all on a regular basis. I'm sure people have run into that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. We've got a question from Victoria Chalk. Were you off book? It sure looked as if you were. Nice job, everyone.
Yes.
Gina's like, yeah.
For me, I felt like the pressure was on because I came into this project a little late in the game. I was a replacement for someone who couldn't do the show. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to memorize these lines like right now. So I had less time, and but I managed to do it.
It was impressive. It was like letter perfect. I mean, I didn't have the script up next to me, but it seemed like there was not a single glitch anywhere in the whole production, which is impressive.
Gina stepped in a little bit late. She wound up being terrific. For me, I will tell you that I've done a lot of these things, and I am barely technologically hip enough to do a split screen. So I can put the script up in front of me and watch the gallery at the same time. I was predominantly off book, which was our goal. But I had the script there. There was a few little places where the lines were a little bit odd. I had to rely on them a little bit, but I would say the vast majority of it was off book. And that was challenging. But there's also a quality that comes with off book versus on book.
And that's kind of why, I mean, that was another takeaway from that class that I took. It's the difference between doing, you know, a reading and doing a performance. And, you know, until we can get back on stage, wow, I didn't expect to get emotional there for a second. You know, while we're still forced to use this format, the more you can make it, as, you know, it's never going to be live theater, but you can still use a lot of the same things. And we employed most of them, which is being as active as you can within your frame, getting up and moving just like you would, you know, on stage, doing an off stage, you know, offstage voice. Gina just kind of moved off camera. Those are all tactics that we use in theater, and you can still use them here. It's just like, you know, the instructor had said to me, it was, you know, the only limit is your imagination. So we, you know, I really wanted, that was a goal, to try to really make this as performance level as possible.
It was more challenging than a read. A lot of the stuff you see, and I've done it, a lot of people do, there's a lot of read going on. And that's cool. I completely get it. This was a little more challenging. I'm glad we did it. There's a quality, and the piece, not only the quality of the piece, the content of the piece, but also the nature of the piece, this writing style. Only two people, you're back and forth, you're short lines, bibbity bobbity, you're with this, that, other thing. See, this, you cannot, there's a quality to that kind of writing that kind of requires that you're kind of hooked up with the other person. You know, if you read it, it's different. But if the two people are reacting to each other quickly, there's a quality there that I applaud Andy for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, I've told him this before, but I'll say it on camera. I really enjoyed the writing of this piece. We really, as we started rehearsing it, we started, you know, digging a little deeper, and it would just sort of the layers of it just sort of presented themselves, and we were finding ourselves going deeper and deeper and deeper, you know, as our rehearsal process went on. There was a question, where did it go? This is for Andy. Here it is. Nora Godown asks, have you thought about doing a series, a different client each time?
No, I haven't, but that's a good idea. I should think about that. I mean, I wonder about Mrs. Cohen. She seems so tragic. She's like crying, and I would like to see her, you know, get through a difficult time as well. So yeah, that's a great idea. I'll have to give that some thought.
I didn't record the outtakes, but there were a couple of times when Gina would do that scene, I would come on with my sound muted, and I would be like, and I'd flip her off, and, you know, and we had fun with that.
Don't get me started on the blooper reel here. We had our moments.
Yes. Yes.
I think we did. We got a few more questions before we wrap up here. Let's try to get through them. Oh, I like this one too. This is, I guess more for Andy, but there was a reason. There is a reason why. She asked, I know the original script was written for two men. Were there challenges in changing the role to a woman?
Surprisingly, it wasn't as difficult as I initially thought. I mean, it was originally written for two gay men, and George, when he told me he was interested in doing the script, had a suggestion of making the nutritionist character a woman, and I kind of thought, what a good idea. I mean, I wish I had thought of it myself. And working through the script, there were very few lines that really needed to be changed. I mean, and so that was kind of interesting for me as a playwright to look at the script and say, wow, it's not really that gender specific. So it was really kind of a fun process to rewrite it. And I think I took out some stuff, and George came back and said, why'd you take that out? It could still work. And so it was kind of interesting that that we did it this way. And I really liked it.
Sports. And I'm like, you can't take out the sports. It's a lesbian. You know, there's a moment there. There's a moment there that's good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it was. I think it was a good direction for the piece to go, and I think it'll probably stay this way for the next iteration if there is one. So I'm glad.
There's options. You know, you can do it with two men, you can do it with two women. I mean, well, I don't know about, because I did think about that too. I think we batted that, like making Henrietta or something, making them both women. But part of what I liked about this dynamic, because in your original version of it with two men, obviously they're coming at it. It's not just the differences are obviously age, background, whatever, and the commonality being their sexuality, which is still the commonality that these two people bond together over is their sexuality and the universal what's the word, the sort of universal quality to it is that what speaks to us all is like we all just want to be seen, we all just want to be heard, we all just want to be loved. But what I liked about changing Peter, he was originally named Peter, y'all, to Sonia, is that then you add this issue of gender, and like we didn't really play with it too much. And if we were going to do it again, or if we were going to do, if it was a longer piece, I think we would explore a little bit deeper the issues between the dynamics between a man and a woman, especially in a woman who's sort of in a position of authority. There's things that can be played with. And I'm going to stop.
I've got to give Andy an attaboy here. I thought the reveal of both characters coming out as gay, the way they did, was really very sweet and tender and well written, because you didn't see either one of them coming, and it didn't make a difference.
Yeah, I think the play is a lot about the person that we present to other people and then the real you inside. So, and I think you both captured that really well, like the public persona, and then when you break that and you become your real self, and how that is what connects you to other people, that when you show that real part of yourself. So
yes,
that's what the play is kind of really about.
Yes, well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There was, where did I just see it? It was a comment that I thought really, I like, okay, this one from Eileen. She says it was very natural, it flowed, and their relationship grew from professional to a real friendship. And that was our arc. That was our arc goal.
That was the
Those
goal.
moments where, they find a little bit of commonality, and the friendship, progresses from that.
Yes.
What is this one?
That's in the writing. The characters evolve in a very beautiful way. I'm grumpy, she's uptight, she loosens, I loosen up and start being less grumpy. The transformation of the characters, both of them, is a really sweet device. Once again, Andy, I got to tell you, I really like the way you made this happen.
And the interesting part about watching it this time was seeing how you don't lose the grumpy. It's not like you become a completely different person, and you don't lose your professional demeanor and your kind of guardedness. But because we get to know you better as the show goes on, by the end you understand the grumpy, and you understand why there's a veneer of like a protective kind of coating to both characters, really. So it makes it more I don't know, more moving to me that they have broken through and made this bond.
Well done.
Yeah.
Suddenly I'm hearing the Golden Girls theme in the back of my head.
Right.
I like this comment too, that from Allison. I watched this with my mom and pops, and we really enjoyed it and related to it on multiple levels. The aspect of personal connection was lovely. That was part of the reason why I wanted to do it. I loved that about making connection, about forging connection. There's just a couple more, just because I think Andy should get all the praise, because
Yes.
he really did. I want to share those. Where was it? Oh, this is a question. Well, this is a change. Ginny wants to know: have you had any thought about expanding it to a full-length play?
I did think about that originally, but I feel like this length is pretty good for a Zoom thing. I feel like longer Zoom things, for me, my mind starts to wander and I start to get like a little antsy in my seat, and I'm like, I don't want to look at this computer screen anymore. So I felt like this was a good length, but I do see possibilities for expansion for both of these characters. I mean, it was actually really fun to write this. It came out so quickly and easily that that's always a good sign for me when I'm writing a play. If things are flowing and you just know how they're going to kind of interact and work with each other and what they could say, there's definitely opportunity for expanding it. I think it's a good sign that you're even wanting to see more of them. So that's good. That's a.
Oh, this one from Patrick. The picture at the end was a lovely touch, and that's in the script. I can't take credit.
It was really sweet. That was a really beautiful touch, Andy. I'm telling you, that really moved me. I really thought that was a lovely touch.
It was.
I also think just visually for Zoom, I like all of the movements and the getting up and the hockey puck and all of that stuff adds some visual kind of excitement. So I was trying to think of ways that you could have a visual element that would travel from one set to the other set. And the picture seemed like a good way of kind of adding some more visual interest. Also, the same picture in obviously two different locations always gives me like, oh, that's a neat little trick.
really good.
What I think about the use of it is how Henry, and as I've said to you before, like even though I'm only 53 and not 83, I identify a lot with Henry and a lot of his personality. But the idea that he kind of brushes off, oh, it's a terrible painting, whatever. But that he's kept it framed as God.
Gary?
I was like, the same. Getting old. Had framed it and they hung it on the wall. And while it, obviously it means, all of that meant something to Henry, because he's downsizing and because he's made this new friend after 20 some odd years of not making any new friends, decides, as a gesture of that friendship to share it, to pass it on. There's a lot of layers to me in just the simple exchange of not just giving her a gift, but what he gave her.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Also, the book is I feel like the book is also a gift. That sharing that and passing that on it's kind of like mirror echoes the painting. Like they have really given each other something amazing, and the picture is kind of the piece de resistance at the end, like the little capper that says that they really do care about each other.
Yeah, the book is a great idea. Now, the book is a wild card. He doesn't know.
Right.
But the painting, that him passing along his Gary is really beautiful.
Just a couple more, and we're going to wrap up. Where was the one I wanted to share next? It was right after. No, not that one.
This is so nice, like having the comments and seeing the name and the people. This is a cool.
Oh, this is all due to StreamYard, because StreamYard is a different platform that we could have done this through, but some of the other pieces that we've done this year, the directors or whatever, were just having issues trying to make StreamYard the main platform, so we let them record on Zoom. But StreamYard allows you to simultaneously broadcast to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, which we like. And then it gives us this thing, about the comments and everything that we can share that I like.
Well, it's just like being able to see the audience afterwards at a in-person talkback. For me, it's like, oh, there's Patrick making a comment.
I'm glad we're doing it. This is only our second talkback, but I kind of like them because I think, hopefully, I think it's always nice for the playwright to get some sort of feedback, as opposed to just sending it out into the void and be like, well, I hope they enjoyed it. Oh, this is another comment that I like.
It's delightful to be able to share this with you as well. Because we don't meet in this process,
right?
So this is really fun.
So Kevin says the idea to make the relationship occur in Zoom was excellent. He liked that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zoom definitely has limitations for theater, but I have to say personally, it's been a really amazing experience this pandemic. This play has been done by a couple different groups, and it's I've met all these fantastic people that I never would have met otherwise. I mean, it's been really good. So it's kind of like a little real version of the play. My experience with this play being produced, it kind of has opened up, a whole new world of like connections. And now I know Gina, and I know Jim, and I know George, and it's like we never would have met if it hadn't been that Zoom made it possible. So
I said the exact same thing.
It's kind of a cool platform, even though it has its limitations.
I mean, as much as I want to get back, into a theater and everything, I having taken a couple of theater classes, sort of just for something to do that was theater related. The same thing, Andy. I've met people from across the country that I never would have encountered otherwise, and have started farming some friendships that never would have occurred. There were two. We got two more, and then I'll let y'all go. Where the hell was it? We did that one. There was. Oh, Claudia wanted to know. I can address this. Was it recorded? I missed the beginning. Yes, it was recorded. It will remain on both Facebook and YouTube for a few days. We always say a few. I used to say just a couple of days. Now I'm like a few days because it always varies. We're like, all right, we got to take that down now. It's been up for a while, but so if you enjoyed it and you want your friends to come watch it, please let them know to come to Nutley Little Theater's Facebook page or our YouTube channel. It'll be available to watch there for the next few days. And if they watch, please make a little whatever donation you can make. We're like every theater, we're struggling and trying to keep things going. There was one comment. This is funny.
Just a quickie, if I may. Casey, thanks for watching.
Dale was also watching.
He's a dear buddy to me.
Eileen also says that she loved Gina asking couple advice from Henry and then him sharing his thoughts and the final gift of the painting that his partner encouraged him to do. And in closing, I have to find the comment or the, well, it was a question. Come on. Bear with me one second. There it is. From Miss Angela Rose. This was an excellent play for the times. Bravo. Any hints on what to expect next?
I'm in on that too. I think this is a beautiful piece.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks, Ange.
That was another part of what drew me to it. Was not just, I mean, yes, it was the human connection was the deeper thing, but the framework of it that we're, it's very much what we're all going through right now and dealing with. A
lot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was writing about the pandemic while it was happening was kind of hard. So this kind of idea, it takes place in the pandemic, but it's not really about the pandemic. It's really about human connection during the pandemic. So it's can be more universal and more not just a pandemic play, but a larger idea.
Yeah.
What we just, well, in our rehearsals too, like, and I wanted to mention this to you, Andy, was like we loved the use of Henry having gone through the whole AIDS epidemic and how it, and showing, how it's mirroring in a lot of respects, not every respect, but a lot of respects, the thing, and Sonia's line, it's like, some things never change.
Yeah, Andy, if I may, I got to tell you, session 6, where Henry goes to the AIDS memories. It was a beautiful piece challenging, tough, but the dynamic, the contrast, to what we're going through now was a beautiful piece, a beautiful thing to go there. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was tough to deliver those speeches, but they were very good, and they were so appropriate for what we're going through. And now the contrast was remarkably close, and I thank you for your insight there.
Yeah, well, my husband sitting over here, he was very active in the ACT UP in New York during the AIDS crisis, and so when the pandemic did start, it was just, he'd already been through, in the front lines of one, so I think he is definitely, his experience there has really helped me kind of have perspective on this one, and also, I don't know, just be really aware of what's being told in the media and what the government is saying, and how you kind of have to filter that and make your own decision. We do a lot of hiking, and there's a phrase or a thing that I used to tell myself, like if I'm struggling during a hike, I say you're hiking your own hike, and I feel like that's been kind of my mantra through the pandemic. Like, you're doing your thing, and no matter what happens, you're going to continue to do that thing. And I think that's how people managed the AIDS crisis as well. Like when they didn't know how the infections were happening, you just kind of had to figure out what your risk tolerance was and what you could do to keep yourself healthy. And that's how I feel this has been too. So the comparison between the two pandemics or epidemics, whatever you want to call them, was very clear to me, and I felt like it was a good thing to communicate to people that we've been through this before, and it will probably happen again. So we should all be a little more aware of each other and listen and help each other through as best we can.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. To answer the second, Angela, hints on what to expect next. I am, now that I have a chance to breathe, I have to select the next script for our next Reader Theater, which hopefully will happen in June. And that will be the conclusion of our virtual series for this season. But if you are not already, anybody listening, who's still listening, we've still got 24 people, and we haven't bored them to tears yet. If you haven't already liked NLT's Nutley Little Theater's Facebook and Instagram, if you're on either of those social medias, please follow us on those. As soon as a script is selected and we start moving forward with that, that's where we'll announce it. And like I said, we're trying June-ish, maybe will be the next piece. The whole goal that I had this season with doing this, like, the name is a little bit of a misnomer. It's Reader's Theater, and what they used to do was just different plays that they either were too expensive or, too many people or whatever. It was just prohibitive for them to do. And with everything going on and seeing what was happening on the Broadway, things happening in Broadway, and wanting more inclusivity and more diversity across the board, not just on stage, but behind. I made it my mission this year for each of the plays to be original works for emerging playwrights that spoke to the underrepresented people out there, whether they were people of color. Our first play was about a Black family. The next two pairs, it was about two women, a mother and daughter, and siblings, one of which was a transgender woman. Here you have two members of the LGBT. All the plays in virtual were to give those had feedback. Just give them the stage time that they deserve. I'm getting tired of talking about So I think we're going to conclude. I don't know what's happening with the audio. I'm hearing
This is like the play. It's
this weird. I'm hearing myself.
press the red button. The red button.
George, you're breaking up a little bit. We all know what you're talking about. Keep life staying alive.
Thank you all for watching. Thank Andy for a wonderful play. My cast, thank you again for your efforts and your talent.
Thank you. All.
And if you enjoy our piece and haven't participated, please, whatever you share will be appreciated. Thank you. Watch out for the next one. All righty. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, guys.